I'm Matt.
I'm Shane.
And if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that thumbs up button real hard and make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks.
And also click that little bell for all of the notifications.
Whee!
Always remember,
If Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it.
hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video.
Oh yeah, today we are talking Joker Aftermath. We're even going to a classic Comic Movie Marks style, and we're going to break down an article, 6 DC comic villains that deserve a Joker-like movie.
So first we're going to talk about some of these articles that have been put out since Joker's release. Obviously, a lot of talk about the box office success of the Joker. Right now it sits at a global total of $543 million, 2 weeks since its release. It had a very small drop in its second week, making around $60 million in its second week. The marketing for Joker for sure definitely worked. It's keeping its hype as much as the mainstream media continues to berate the Joker about its so-called controversial topics. They continue to look like dumbasses in the corner. Nobody is listening to them. They're just honestly adding more fuel to the fire, and I think they're keeping the hype alive more and more with some of these ridiculous articles. Hollywood Reporter came out and with a tweet saying, in quotations, "I don't think the Academy should honor a film with such controversial elements. Oscar voters weigh in on #Joker." If you actually look at this, there's actually a lot of Oscar voters that like the movie. Of course, there's always a couple individuals out there that don't think that, and that's what Hollywood Reporter wants to use for clickbait. Really controversial elements? I mean, how many movies have controversial elements in them that get nominated for Oscars? This is just lunacy at its highest degree. There was another one where Hollywood Reporter, again, it's a guest column, but again, they're tweeting it out saying why #Joker shouldn't have relied on mental illness.
90% of the time, I have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
A positive article from IndieWire.com says Joker could be headed for $1 billion, but Gemini Man is a box office disaster. A paragraph in the article says the success of the Joker was foretold by strong weekday numbers. Concerns about safety issues appeared to have been for naught, and controversy often helps a film as long as there's still strong favorable responses mixed in with the naysayers. Worldwide, it's now at $544 million for a film that cost a thrifty $65 million. It could approach $1 billion.
Which is crazy, which means it would pass Deadpool, because currently Deadpool is the highest rated R comic book movie of all time. I believe Deadpool 2 actually is, with a small budget, just like the original Deadpool, a movie squarely based on Joaquin Phoenix's shoulders. The kind of irony of it all is that a dark, gritty comic book movie like The Joker is probably going to surpass Justice League. Everything that WB did to try to correct and adjust to what they thought was a winning formula for Justice League, they fell flat on their face. The irony of it all.
Yep, it took Todd Phillips approaching Warner Brothers and saying, let's do something that Marvel can't. It's hilarious that the Joker is now going to crush Justice League, because that thing was a disaster, and this film is beautiful.
I don't really care that much when people start comparing other comic book movies to other comic book movies, but this one time I'll let it slide, because I just kind of find it funny. Some of these aspects that were in Joker is what they were trying to change about in Justice League. By doing that, all they did was make a Frankenstein film. The Joker, a director's vision-based movie, crushes it. Going back to that Hollywood Reporter guest column, why Joker shouldn't have relied on mental illness, a great tweet by Andrew Dice.
Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet, eating a curds and whey. Long came a Spidey, sat down beside, he said, "Hey, what's in the bowl, bitch?" Oh!
His tweet saying, like all good cinema, Joker is good art. And like all good art, it holds up a mirror to the society it was made in. Claiming something's wrong with the mirror just because you don't like what you see in it is the most backwards way of thinking I can imagine. So for all those would-be writers out there that are complaining about some of these so-called controversial elements in the Joker, just remember,
they're schemers. Schemers trying to control their little worlds. I'm not a schemer. I try to show the schemers how pathetic their attempts to control things really are.
So on a more lighter note, we're going to talk about a Cinema Blend article titled 6 DC comic villains that deserve a Joker-like movie. Now this harkens back to what we used to do to just fill in some episodes. Well, here we are scratching the surface trying to find something. But this article is kind of funny because they bring up some different villains, some DC comic villains. Some of them might work, but some of them, I don't know, not at least in the same vein of Joker.
Yeah, I think they kind of missed the point of what Joker's success really is. The fact that it's low budget, it's a character study. A lot of these characters that they have in here aren't really low budget capable. So we'll just start off with number 6, Sinestro. All right.
Yeah, as Matt said, Sinestro, that would take probably a good amount of CGI in order to pull off. So trying to make it Joker-like, I don't know. I could see him being an intriguing villain that you can maybe base a movie around, but trying to make it low budget and successful like the Joker was.
When the Joker came out, I saw this name getting thrown around a lot, but Lex Luthor, people said the Joker wouldn't work because he didn't have Batman in it. Joker proved isn't necessarily true. Lex Luthor, though, I think needs something. He needs Superman. You kind of need that yin and that yang a little bit. Because other than that, it just kind of becomes Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, I could kind of see that. I think where Lex Luthor for me would be kind of intriguing, and it's probably because I am a huge Superman fan, I think they could kind of mesh together like a Smallville type Lex Luthor, where he starts out good and then, you know, his life kind of transpires and then he eventually turns to the person that we know him as, to Lex Luthor, the supervillain, you know, the world's greatest scientist. I think they could kind of start with that. There's also been some different stories, which Titans right now is kind of touching on a little bit, you know, and then even in Batman vs. Superman, Lex Luthor Jr. is talking about...
Because God is tribal. God takes sides. No man in the sky intervened when I was a boy to deliver me from Daddy's fist and abominations. I figured out way back. If God is all powerful, he cannot be all good. And if he is all good, then he cannot be all powerful.
So I think all in all, you could maybe try to pull off a Lex Luthor movie. I think it would be closer to a Joker type movie than some of these other ones like a Sinestro, where that would be very CGI heavy.
So the next one is Bane. And all I can think of is just the Batman and Robin version. Bomb. Bomb.
That would be the version that they would not want to do. It would have to be a lot closer to the Dark Knight Rises version. Maybe they could pull this off.
Well, how did he get to the table? I want to know the story in the Batman and Robin.
That's true.
That seems to be like a worthwhile story. Who knows? He could have had the craziest fucking story before that.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Next, we have Reverse Flash, or Eobard Thawne. Again, very CGI heavy. I mean, we can't even get a Flash movie, let alone a Reverse Flash movie.
Yeah, so if we got a Reverse Flash before we got Flash, I'd probably give up at that point.
Next one, probably the most likely one out of all these ones that I actually could see working for the most part, is Vandal Savage.
Yeah, I could see this one working, especially if they did it somewhat similar to Justice League Doom. There's a lot of things in that. Obviously, you take the entire Justice League out of there.
So it's just called Doom.
Yeah, exactly. And then you put in The Rock, and then it's a terrible movie. If you do Vandal Savage and kind of show how he comes to be and why he is the way that he is, and, you know, him being immortal and things like that, I think this one could work. And I agree with Matt. Aside from maybe Lex Luthor, he's probably one of the few people on this article that would actually work.
I could see him descending into madness, or really just disconnecting with humanity, kind of similar to like Dr. Manhattan. I mean, at this point, he's immortal. He's going through thousands of years. And then last but not least, again, kind of missing the point of what makes Joker successful, they have Darkseid. New Gods might go for this, I guess. We might get a deep backstory, Uxas and how he becomes Darkseid. But to make this its own solo film, I don't know. I think you do need a New God element to it.
As cool as a Darkseid essentially standalone film would be, I don't see how you pull this off without, I don't think you can have a Thanos movie without the Avengers, and I don't think you can have a Darkseid movie without some version of the Justice League. I think that would be incredibly tough. And as mentioned before, Joker, it being a low budget, well-grounded film, is what helped this movie succeed. Darkseid would not work that way.
So one name that I did have in mind when I saw this list, and I was kind of surprised it wasn't on there, because this movie has been rumored to be in development, but a Deathstroke movie. Kind of thought that was a no-brainer out of all these. You can obviously use D-list superheroes and supervillains to see Deathstroke's ascent to being one of the greatest assassins. Seems fairly obvious to me that that would be a good one, and Joe Manganiello is obviously down for whatever they want to do when it comes to Deathstroke, and they're building him up right now in Titans, so it seemed like me that's like a no-brainer if they tried to do something to that effect.
I know we for sure would enjoy a Captain Boomerang film, so I can see that one working.
Really, what they need to do is bring Arnold Schwarzenegger back, do a Mr. Freeze. That would be legendary. I would love to see an Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze movie.
Guaranteed $1 billion right there.
Cool party.
In case I don't see ya.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.